6 months had passed since Jake and Lisa gave their presentation about Earth. The galaxy had changed in ways they never expected, and so had their lives. Jake sat in his new office on Galactic Station Alpha, looking out at the stars through a massive window. His official title was Human Cultural Advisor to the Galactic Council, but most people just called him the Human Ambassador. It still felt strange to him. A soft chime told him that Lisa was calling. Her face appeared on his communication screen, smiling and looking tired. She was on a different station, 3 systems away, working with the new Human Integration Committee. How did the meeting go today? Lisa asked. Better than expected, Jake replied. The Centauri delegation finally agreed to the new trade agreement. They want to buy Earth music and art. Apparently, our culture is just as fascinating to them as our biology. Lisa laughed. Remember when we thought failing a school project was our biggest problem? Jake smiled back. Now we're helping write the laws for how humans and aliens interact. It's crazy. The past 6 months had been a whirlwind of meetings, presentations, and discoveries. After their presentation to the Galactic Council, everything had changed rapidly. First, the galaxy had to deal with the shock of learning about humans. Some species were terrified. Others were amazed. A few wanted to study humans to understand how they could become stronger themselves. The Galactic Council had created new rules for contact with Earth. They decided that humans should be approached slowly and carefully. No one wanted to scare either species. Jake and Lisa had become the bridge between humanity and the galaxy. They helped explain human behavior to confused aliens. They also helped other humans who joined the exchange program understand how different they were from everyone else. I got another report today, Lisa said, shuffling through some papers. 12 more human students are coming to galactic schools next month. We need to prepare their teachers. This had become a big part of their job. Human students kept accidentally terrifying their alien classmates and teachers. Simple things like opening jars, playing sports, or describing Earth weather caused panic. Attacks throughout the galaxy. What happened this time? Jake asked. A human student named Pete was asked to demonstrate Earth athletics. He showed them basketball. When he jumped to make a shot, 3 alien students fainted because they thought he was flying. Jake shook his head. We really need to make those orientation videos. They had learned that many things humans considered normal were impossible for other species. Jumping more than a few inches off the ground was seen as superhuman. Running for more than a few minutes was considered extraordinary endurance. Even human laughter was too loud for some sensitive alien species, but it was not all problems. The galaxy had also discovered wonderful things about humans. Human music had become incredibly popular across dozens of worlds. The complex rhythms and emotional range fascinated species that had never heard anything like it. Human art was displayed in museums on planets Jake could not even pronounce. Human stories and movies were being translated into hundreds of alien languages. The galaxy had never encountered fictional stories about heroes who faced impossible odds and won through determination rather than technology. Most importantly, humans had begun to help solve problems that had troubled the galaxy for centuries. Did you hear about the Vega mining disaster? Lisa asked. No, what happened? A mine collapsed on Vega Prime. The conditions inside were too dangerous for any known species to attempt a rescue. Radiation, toxic gases, unstable gravity, extreme temperatures. Jake had a feeling he knew where this was going. They asked for human volunteers, Lisa continued. 6 humans went in and rescued 43 alien miners. What would have been certain death for anyone else was just a difficult day at work for the humans. This had happened several times now. Situations that were hopeless for other species became opportunities for humans to help. Natural disasters, dangerous rescues, exploration of deadly environments. Humans could go where no one else could. Survive. The galaxy is starting to see us differently, Jake said thoughtfully. We're not just strange anymore, we're useful. More than useful, Lisa corrected. We're giving them hope. Dr. Zareth told me that human achievements have inspired other species to push their own limits. They're discovering they can do more than they thought possible. This was true. Several alien species had started new fitness programs, trying to become stronger. Others were exploring parts of their own planets they had considered too dangerous before. Human determination was becoming contagious. Jake's door chimed, and Administrator Thurvok entered. The tree-like alien looked much more relaxed than he had 6 months ago. Jake, I have news from Earth, Thurvok said, his wooden features showing. What might have been excitement? Good news or bad news? Very good news. The Earth government has agreed to the full cultural exchange program. They are sending 50 more students next year, along with 20 teachers and researchers. Jake felt a mix of excitement and worry. That's wonderful, but are we ready for that many humans? We are building special facilities, Thurvok assured. Stronger furniture, reinforced floors, soundproofed rooms. We have learned much about human needs. This was another ongoing challenge. Regular galactic furniture broke when humans sat on it. Doors were too weak for human strength. Even simple things like dishes and cups had to be redesigned. There is more news, Thurvok continued. Earth has also agreed to help with the Outer Rim exploration project. Jake was surprised. The Outer Rim was a dangerous area of space that no one had been able to explore. It was full of radiation storms, unstable stars, and hostile environments. They want humans to explore it? Jake asked. They want humans to lead the exploration teams. Conditions that would kill other species in minutes might be survivable for humans. Lisa had heard this through the communication link. Jake, this is huge. If humans can explore the Outer Rim, we might find new worlds, new resources, maybe even new life. But more importantly, Thurvok added, this shows that the galaxy now sees humans as partners, not just curiosities. You are becoming an essential part of our galactic community. After Thurvok left, Jake and Lisa talked for another hour about all the changes happening. Their classmates from the original school had all become minor celebrities. Professor Valtar had recovered from her shock and was now teaching a popular course called Extreme World Biology, using Earth as the primary example. Do you ever miss when we were just normal students? Lisa asked. Jake thought about it. Sometimes. But look, what we've accomplished. We've helped two completely different parts of the universe understand each other. And we've shown everyone that being different can be a strength, not just a problem. As their conversation ended, Jake turned back to the window. Somewhere out there was Earth, the dangerous little planet that had shaped humanity into something unique, and somewhere else were thousands of alien worlds, each with their own peoples who were learning that the universe was far more diverse and wonderful than they had imagined. The galaxy had learned that life could exist in conditions they thought were impossible. Aliens had discovered that they could be stronger and braver than they believed. And humans had found their place among the stars as protectors, explorers, and friends. Jake smiled as he remembered their terrified classmates fleeing from their school presentation. If they could see the galaxy now, they would be amazed. The humans they once feared had become the heroes helping solve problems and explore new frontiers. It had all started with a simple school project about their home planet. Now, Jake and Lisa were helping to write the future of human-alien relations. They had accidentally become the ambassadors who showed the galaxy that sometimes the most extraordinary things come from the most unexpected places. The dangerous Deathworld, called Earth, had given the galaxy its newest and most valuable allies. And the adventure was just beginning. The next morning, Jake woke up to find 2 security guards outside his door. They were tall blue aliens with 4 arms and serious expressions. One of them spoke in a deep, calm voice. "Jake Sullivan, you are requested to come to the station commander's office immediately." Jake got dressed quickly and walked with the guards through the halls of the space station. Other students stared at him as he passed. Some pointed and whispered. Others moved away from him like he was dangerous. Jake had never felt so alone. Lisa was already in the commander's office when Jake arrived. She looked as nervous as he felt. The commander was a large alien that looked like a walking tree with golden bark. His name was Administrator Thurvok, and he had been running the station for 50 years. "Sit down, humans," Thurvok said in a voice like rustling leaves. "We need to talk." 3 other aliens were in the room. Jake recognized one of them as Dr. Zareth, the galaxy's most famous scientist who studied how life adapted to different planets. The other 2 wore uniforms Jake had never seen before. "Your presentation yesterday has caused quite a stir," Administrator Thurvok continued. "Half your classmates are in the medical center being treated for shock. Professor Valtar is still too upset to teach. And we have received urgent messages from 12 different planetary governments." Jake and Lisa looked at each other. They had expected some reaction, but not this much. Dr. Zareth stepped forward. She was tall and thin with purple skin and large black eyes. "We need to verify the information you presented. Are you certain that the facts about Earth are correct?" "Yes," Lisa said quietly. "We checked everything 3 times. "And you were both born on this planet Earth?" "Yes," Jake answered. "We lived there for 18 years before coming here." Dr. Zareth made notes on a small device. "We need to run some tests, medical tests to understand how your bodies work. Is this acceptable?" Jake looked at Lisa. She nodded slightly. "Okay," Jake said. "What kind of tests?" "Nothing harmful, Doctor," Zareth promised. "We want to measure your strength, your speed, your healing rate, and your resistance to different conditions." For the next 3 days, Jake and Lisa spent most of their time in the medical center. The tests were strange, but not painful. They ran on machines that measured how fast they could move. They lifted weights to test their strength. They stayed in rooms with different temperatures to see how well they could adapt. The results shocked everyone, including Jake and Lisa. "Your muscle density is 300% higher than the galactic average," Dr. Zareth told them. "Your bone strength is 400% higher. Your cardiovascular system is so efficient that it would be considered impossible by our medical standards." She showed them charts and graphs that meant very little to Jake, but seemed to amaze all the alien doctors. "Your healing rate is extraordinary," another doctor said. "You can recover from injuries that would be permanent for most species. Your immune system can fight diseases that would kill 90% of known life forms. But we're just normal humans." Lisa protested. "Everyone on Earth is like this." "That," said Dr. Zareth, "is exactly what makes this so remarkable." While the medical tests continued, other things were happening on the station. Jake and Lisa heard rumors that important people were coming to meet them. Scientists from across the galaxy were requesting permission to study the humans. News reporters wanted interviews. On the 4th day, Administrator Thurvok called them back to his office. This time, the room was crowded with aliens they had never seen before. Some wore military uniforms. Others had the robes of government officials. A few carried the symbols of the Galactic Science Council. "Jake Sullivan and Lisa Carter," Thurvok announced formally. "You have been invited to address the Galactic Council about your species and your home world." Jake felt his stomach drop. The Galactic Council was like the government for the entire galaxy. Only the most important matters were brought before them. "Why?" Lisa asked in a small voice. An alien in a silver uniform answered. "Because your presentation has revealed that everything we thought we knew about the limits of biological life is wrong. Your species represents a complete unknown in our understanding of the universe. Another alien, this one wearing the blue robes of a diplomat, spoke. 12 planetary governments have sent emergency messages asking about the dangerous species from the Death World. Some want to establish trade relations. Others want to ensure you are not a threat. A threat? Jake said, surprised. We're just students. Students who come from a planet that would kill any of us within hours, the diplomat replied. Students whose normal physical abilities exceed our best soldiers and athletes. Students who think conditions that we consider disasters are just everyday weather. Dr. Zareth stepped forward with a tablet full of data. Let me put this in perspective. Jake, yesterday you lifted 500 pounds during our strength test. You did this easily, without straining. The strongest member of any known species can lift 200 pounds, and only with great effort. She scrolled to another page. Lisa, you ran for 4 hours without stopping or breathing hard. Most galactic species become exhausted after running for 15 minutes. Your reflexes are 3 times faster than anyone else's, another scientist added. Your vision works in light conditions that would blind us or in darkness where we would be completely helpless. The room was quiet as everyone looked at Jake and Lisa. Finally, Administrator Thurvek spoke again. There is something else you need to know. We sent a probe to your Earth system to verify your claims about your planet's conditions. Jake felt nervous. What did you find? Everything you said was true. Earth is even more dangerous than you described. Our probe's shields failed within 6 hours of entering your atmosphere. The radiation, the gravity, the atmospheric pressure, and the electromagnetic activity were beyond what our technology could handle. The probe was destroyed by what you call a thunderstorm, Dr. Zareth added. Lightning struck at 17 times before it crashed into your ocean. For us, this was like watching a probe get destroyed by the forces of creation itself. Lisa looked confused, but it was just a storm. They happen all the time. Exactly, said the diplomat in blue robes. What you call normal weather is more destructive than our most advanced weapons. One of the military officers spoke for the first time. We need to understand what this means for galactic security. Are there more humans on Earth? How many? About 8 billion, Jake answered without thinking. The room erupted in shocked whispers. Several aliens sat down heavily in their chairs. 8 billion, the military officer repeated slowly. 8 billion beings with these abilities, living on a planet that would destroy our best technology. And they don't even know they're extraordinary, Dr. Zareth added, looking at her notes. They think they're normal. Administrator Thurvek raised one of his large wooden hands for silence. This information must be handled very carefully. We are dealing with a species that has capabilities we never imagined possible. They come from a world that challenges everything we understand about where life can exist. He looked directly at Jake and Lisa. You two have accidentally revealed that humanity is perhaps the most remarkable species the galaxy has ever encountered. The question now is what we do with this knowledge. The room fell silent again. Jake realized that their simple school project had changed everything. The galaxy was looking at humans in a completely new way, and he was not sure if that was good or bad. What happens now? Lisa asked quietly. Now, said Administrator Thurvek, we prepare for the most important presentation in galactic history. In 1 week, you will stand before the Galactic Council and speak for your entire species. Jake and Lisa looked at each other, both thinking the same thing. They were just college students who wanted to pass a class. Now they had become the ambassadors for all of humanity, and the fate of human-alien relations rested on their shoulders. The day of the presentations finally arrived. Jake sat in the classroom, trying to stay calm while his heart beat fast in his chest. Lisa was beside him, holding their notes with shaking hands. They had practiced their presentation many times, but they still felt nervous about what would happen. Professor Veltar stood at the front of the room, her crystal body sparkling in the light. Today we will learn about the wonderful home worlds of our students. Let us begin with Zixara from Velen. Zixara fluttered her silver wings as she walked to the front. Her presentation was beautiful. She showed pictures of her planet covered in soft purple grass and gentle hills. The sky was always a perfect blue color. There were no storms, no earthquakes, and no dangerous animals. Our biggest challenge is deciding what to eat each day, Zixara said with a musical laugh. Food grows everywhere and tastes wonderful. Sometimes the wind blows at 3 miles per hour, which gives us exciting flying practice. The class smiled and clapped softly. Several students said how lovely her planet sounded. Next came Kiplo from the water world of Aquanus. His presentation showed endless blue oceans with floating cities made of coral. The water was always warm and clean. The biggest waves were only 2 feet high. Fish swam everywhere, but they were all gentle creatures that ate plants. Our most dangerous moment comes during storm season, Kiplo said proudly. Sometimes it rains for 3 whole days. We have to stay inside our coral homes until it stops. More gentle clapping filled the room. Jake noticed that all his classmates looked relaxed and happy hearing about these peaceful worlds. Student after student presented their home planets. Ilanon showed crystal mountains that sang beautiful music in the wind. Quazen displayed floating cities where 3 gentle suns provided perfect warmth. Murtak described grasslands where the biggest animal was the size of a rabbit and ate flowers. Every world was safe, beautiful, and peaceful. Every species had evolved in perfect conditions with no real dangers or challenges. Jake began to feel sick to his stomach. Now, Professor Veltar announced, let us hear from our human students. Jake Sullivan and Lisa Carter will tell us about Earth. Jake and Lisa walked to the front of the room. Jake could feel everyone watching them. He connected their computer to the big screen and took a deep breath. Earth is our home planet, Jake began, trying to keep his voice steady. It is located in what you call the Sol system. Lisa clicked to the first slide. It showed basic information about Earth. Several students leaned forward to read the numbers. Earth has a gravity of 9.8 meters per second squared, Lisa said clearly. A soft gasp came from someone in the back row. Jake saw Zixara's wings start to tremble. The atmosphere is 21% oxygen and 78% nitrogen. Jake continued. More gasps. Professor Veltar's crystal body began to flicker with different colors, which Jake had learned meant she was stressed. Wait, called out Yolanan, raising a thin crystal arm. Did you say 21% oxygen? That cannot be right. It is correct, Lisa. Confirmed, checking their notes. But that is toxic, whispered Kiplo. How do you breathe poison air? Jake and Lisa looked at each other. They had expected this reaction, but it still felt strange. It's not poison to us, Jake explained. It's normal air. 3 students in the front row stood up and moved to seats farther back. Jake noticed they looked scared. Lisa clicked to the key. Next slide. Earth's surface temperature ranges from minus 130 degrees Fahrenheit to plus 134 degrees Fahrenheit. This time the gasps were louder. Murtak, the student from the gentle grasslands, made a choking sound and raised his hand. You said 134 degrees? That would boil our blood, he said in a shaky voice. And minus 130 would freeze us solid in seconds, added Quasian from the floating cities. Humans live in both those temperatures, Lisa said simply. We wear different clothes depending on the weather. 2 more students got up and left the classroom. Professor Veltar was now flickering bright red, which meant she was very upset. Jake clicked to the weather slide. Earth has many types of weather. We have hurricanes with winds up to 200 miles per hour. We have tornadoes that can destroy entire cities. We have blizzards where snow falls for days and covers everything. Half the remaining students stood up and moved toward the door. Zixara's wings were shaking so hard she could barely stay in her seat. We also have thunderstorms, Lisa continued. Lightning can reach temperatures of 50,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Thunder can be heard from 25 miles away. Stop, whispered someone. From the back, please stop. But Jake and Lisa kept going. They had committed to telling the truth about Earth. Earth has earthquakes that can shake the ground for several minutes, Jake said. We have volcanoes that shoot hot lava thousands of feet into the air. We have tsunamis that are waves over 100 feet tall. Only 6 students remained in the classroom now. The others had either left or were hiding behind their desks. Professor Veltar was flickering so many colors that she looked like a disco ball. Lisa showed pictures of Earth's animals. We share our planet with many creatures. This is a great white shark. It's 20 feet long and has teeth like knives. This is a grizzly bear. It weighs 800 pounds and can run 35 miles per hour. Kiplo made a strangled sound and slid under his desk. This is a black mamba snake, Jake said, showing the next picture. Its bite can kill a human in 20 minutes. But humans still live in areas where these snakes are found. And this is a saltwater crocodile, Lisa added. It's 23 feet long and can bite with 3,700 pounds of pressure. Yelanan's crystal body started, making high-pitched ringing sounds, which Jake realized was how his species screamed. But here's the interesting part, Jake said, clicking to the next slide. Humans don't just survive on Earth. We enjoy it. We go camping in places with bears. We swim in oceans with sharks. We climb mountains during blizzards. We surf on waves during storms, Lisa added. We go hiking in deserts where the temperature is 120 degrees. We ski down mountains in freezing cold. The remaining students stared at them in complete silence. Professor Veltar had stopped flickering and was now just a solid bright red color. Jake showed the final slide. Humans have built cities in earthquake zones. We live on the sides of active volcanoes. We farm in areas that flood every year. We consider all of this normal life. We have cities with millions of people in places that have hurricanes every year, Lisa said. We have towns in deserts where it doesn't rain for months. We have villages in mountains where the temperature stays below freezing for half the year. The classroom was completely quiet, except for some soft whimpering sounds from under the desks. Earth has taught humans to be strong, Jake concluded. We have learned to survive in conditions that change quickly and without warning. We have learned to live with danger and make it part of our normal lives. Any questions? Lisa asked. No one moved. No one spoke. Professor Veltar was still bright red and had not said a word for 10 minutes. Finally, a small voice came from under one of the desks. It was Murtak. Are you sure you're really from that planet? Yes, Jake said gently. Born and raised there. And you think it's a nice place? We love it, Lisa answered. It's home. Another long silence filled the room. Class dismissed. Professor Veltar finally managed to say, in a voice that sounded like breaking glass, as Jake and Lisa packed up their materials. They could hear the remaining students whispering to each other in scared voices. Words like impossible. And how are they alive? Drifted through the air. They had done it. They had told the galaxy the truth about Earth and about humans. Now they had to wait and see what would happen next. Jake and Lisa spent the next week gathering more information about Earth. Every fact they found made things worse. They started to understand why other students looked at them strangely sometimes. They also began to notice things about themselves that they had never thought about before. During lunch on Monday, Jake was opening a bottle of water when the cap flew off and hit the table with a loud pop. 3 alien students at the next table jumped and ran away. Jake stared at the bottle. He had opened it the same way he always did, but apparently the sound scared them. "Did you see that?" Lisa whispered. "They ran from the sound of your water bottle." "I barely twisted it," Jake said. "How is that scary?" Lisa thought about it. "Maybe we're stronger than we think." That afternoon, they decided to test this idea. They went to the station's gym, which had exercise equipment for different species. Jake tried the strength training machine that was designed for the strongest known aliens. He set it to the maximum weight and lifted it easily. The machine was not even close to his limit. Lisa tried the endurance test. It was designed to measure how long different species could exercise before getting tired. The machine had settings for 12 different alien races. Lisa tried the highest setting and ran for 2 hours without breathing hard. The machine finally stopped because it was not built to run longer than that. "This is weird," Jake said, looking at the results. "According to this, we're stronger and have more endurance than any known species." "Let's test more things," Lisa suggested. They spent the rest of the week doing quiet experiments. They discovered that humans could see in darker conditions than most aliens. They could hear sounds that others could not. They could smell things that other species missed completely. Their reaction times were faster. They healed from small cuts and bruises much quicker than anyone else. Most shocking of all, they learned that human body temperature was much higher than normal for galactic life. What felt normal to Jake and Lisa would cause fever and death. In most alien species, during their research, they also started paying attention to their classmates' conversations about their home worlds. The more they listened, the more they realized how different Earth really was. Zixara talked about her planet's weather. "Sometimes we have gentle breezes," she said happily. "The wind can reach up to 5 miles per hour on very active days. It's quite exciting." Jake thought about Earth's hurricanes with winds over 150 miles per hour. He decided not to mention this. Kiplo described his world's most dangerous predator. "The sharp-finned fish is very scary," he said with a shiver. "It's almost 3 feet long and has small teeth. Very few of my people have ever seen one because they live in the deep water." Lisa remembered the nature documentaries she had watched about great white sharks, grizzly bears, and lions. She kept quiet. A student named Yelanan from the Crystal Planets talked about their biggest natural disaster. "Last century, we had a terrible earthquake," he said sadly. "The ground shook for almost 30 seconds. 3 buildings fell down. It was the worst thing that ever happened to our world." Jake thought about earthquakes on Earth that lasted for minutes and destroyed entire cities. He said nothing. The more they learned, the more Jake and Lisa realized that what humans considered normal would be absolutely terrifying to every other species in the galaxy. On Friday, they decided to do a practice presentation for each other. They met in Lisa's room, and Jake started with basic facts about Earth. "Earth has a gravity of 9.8 meters per second squared," Jake said. Lisa looked this up in the galactic database. "Jake, that's 3 times stronger than the average for inhabited planets. Most aliens would be crushed by our gravity." "Okay, what about atmosphere?" "Earth's atmosphere is 21% oxygen." Lisa checked again. "The database says that's toxic. Most species can only handle 8% to 12% oxygen. Higher than that, and they get poisoned." They went through more basic facts. Earth's magnetic field was too strong. The radiation from the sun was too high. The planet's core was too active. The weather systems were too violent. Everything about Earth was beyond the safe limits for galactic life. Let's try temperature. Jake said, Earth's average temperature is around 60 degrees Fahrenheit. That's listed as moderately dangerous for most species, Lisa reported. But Jake, look at this. It says Earth's temperature can change by more than 100 degrees depending on location and season. So the database says that temperature changes of more than 20 degrees are considered extreme weather events that require emergency response. Jake felt dizzy. You mean when winter comes and the temperature drops 50 degrees, that would be like a natural disaster for them? According to this, yes. And we don't just survive it. We play in the snow. They kept testing their presentation. Every single fact about Earth was classified as dangerous or impossible by galactic standards. The planet's geology was too active. The weather was too violent. The animals were too dangerous. The diseases were too deadly. The conditions were too extreme. Yet humans had not only survived all of this, they had thrived. They had built civilizations, created art, developed technology, and reached for the stars. That weekend, Jake and Lisa decided to observe their alien classmates more carefully. They wanted to understand just how different humans really were. During a study group meeting, one of their friends mentioned feeling tired after walking up 2 flights of stairs. Jake and Lisa often ran up 10 flights without thinking about it, thought another student. Complained about the bright lights in the library. Jake and Lisa thought the library was actually quite dim. A third student mentioned being scared by a small spider in his room. The spider was about the size of a pencil eraser. Jake thought about the spiders back on Earth that were bigger than dinner plates. When someone accidentally dropped a book, the sound made half the study group jump. Jake and Lisa barely noticed it. Slowly, they began to understand the truth. Humans were not normal. They were incredibly strong, tough, and resistant to danger compared to every other known species. What they thought of as everyday life would be a nightmare of survival for anyone else in the galaxy. Lisa, Jake said quietly, as they walked back to their rooms, I don't think we're just different. I think we're scary. What do you mean? Think about it. We come from a planet that should be impossible. We have abilities that no other species has. We're stronger, faster, and tougher than anyone else. And we think all of this is completely normal. Lisa was quiet for a moment. Jake, what if we're not the normal ones? What if everyone else in the galaxy is fragile? That's exactly what I'm thinking. They reached Lisa's door and stopped. Both of them were beginning to realize that their school presentation was going to be much more than just a report about their home planet. We're going to tell them that we come from a world that would kill them, Lisa said slowly. And that we consider it a nice place to live. And we're going to show them that humans can do things they think are impossible. This is going to change everything, isn't it? Jake nodded. Once they know the truth about humans and Earth, the galaxy is never going to look at us the same way again. They said good night, but neither of them slept well. They both knew that in a few weeks, they would have to stand in front of their class and reveal something that would shock the entire galaxy. Humans were not just another species. They were something completely new and different. They were survivors from a world of nightmares, and they were about to tell everyone. Jake Sullivan sat in his chair and tried not to look nervous. The classroom was huge and filled with students from many different planets. Some looked like giant insects. Others looked like walking crystals. A few looked almost human, but had blue skin or extra arms. Jake was one of only 2 humans in the entire school. The teacher was Professor Veltar. She was tall and made of something that looked like living glass. When she moved, light bounced off her body in pretty colors. She had been teaching for over 200 years, which was normal for her species. Jake still found it hard to believe. He was sitting in a real alien classroom. Students, listen carefully, Professor Veltar said. Her voice sounded like wind chimes. Your big project for this term is very important. You must study your home planet and tell us how your species learned to live there. Show us what makes your people special. You have 6 weeks to prepare. Jake felt his stomach drop. He looked across the room at Lisa Carter, the only other human student. She had the same worried look on her face. They both knew this was going to be a problem. The other students started talking excitedly about their projects. Zixara, who looked like a giant moth with silver wings, raised one of her thin arms. Professor, my planet Velen has perfect weather. All year. The temperature never changes. We have no storms or dangerous animals. It will be easy to explain how we live there. A student named Kiplo, who looked like a walking fish with legs, nodded his large head. My water world is the same. We have no land, so there are no earthquakes or volcanoes. The water is always warm and clean. Food grows everywhere. Jake listened to more students talk about their home planets. They all sounded like paradise. Perfect. Temperatures. No dangerous weather. Gentle animals. Plenty of food and water. Safe conditions everywhere, Professor Veltar smiled, which made her face sparkle. Wonderful. I am sure you will all have excellent presentations. Remember, the goal is to show how your species adapted to survive and grow strong. After class, Jake and Lisa walked slowly to the cafeteria. Neither of them spoke for a while. The cafeteria was a strange place where students from dozens of planets ate together. Some ate glowing liquids. Others ate rocks. Jake and Lisa usually brought food from the human section of the station because most alien food made them sick. Did you hear what they said about their planets? Lisa finally asked. She sat down at their usual table in the corner. Perfect weather, no storms, no dangerous animals. How are we supposed to explain Earth? Jake opened his lunch bag and pulled out a sandwich. Even this simple action made some alien students stare. Most of them did not eat solid food the way humans did. I know. Earth is nothing like their worlds. Remember what happened last month when you told that Altair student about hurricanes? Lisa said he had to go to the medical center because he was so scared. Jake remembered. He had only mentioned that humans sometimes got caught in big storms, and that it was not usually deadly. The student had started shaking and could not breathe properly. The doctor said it was shock from learning about such dangerous conditions. And what about when I mentioned that we have winter? Lisa added. Half the class left the room when I said temperatures can drop below freezing. They ate their lunch in silence. Around them, alien students chatted happily about their easy, safe home worlds. Jake began to realize just how different Earth really was. That evening, Jake went to the station's library. It was a massive room filled with information about thousands of planets. He found a computer and started searching for information about Earth. What he found made him feel sick. According to the Galactic database, Earth was classified as a Class 12 death world. Jake had never heard this term before. He read the definition. A planet with conditions so dangerous that complex life should not be able to survive there. The computer listed Earth's deadly conditions. The gravity was marked in red letters as extremely dangerous. The oxygen levels were labeled toxic to most life forms. The weather patterns were described as catastrophically violent. The geological activity was rated as unsurvivable. Jake kept reading. Earth's radiation levels were too high. The planet had too many predators. The diseases were too dangerous. The temperature changes were too extreme. According to every standard the galaxy used, nothing should be able to live on Earth. But humans did live there. Not only did they live there, they had built cities, created art, and explored space. Jake had grown up on Earth and never thought it was especially dangerous. It was just home. He called Lisa and asked her to come to the library. When she arrived, he showed her what he had found. "This can't be right," Lisa said, reading the screen. "It says our planet is basically impossible. Look at this part," Jake pointed to another section. "It says that any species from the known galaxy would die on Earth within hours. Most would die within minutes." Lisa read more of the report. "Jake, according to this, we should not exist. The computer says life like ours cannot develop on a planet like Earth." They spent the next 3 hours reading everything the Galactic database had about Earth. Every report said the same thing. Earth was too dangerous, too violent, too extreme. The planet was described as a nightmare world where nothing could live. Humans had not just lived there. They had grown strong enough to build spaceships and join the galactic community. "We have a problem," Jake said finally. "What do you mean?" "Look around this library. Look at all these students. They come from safe, easy worlds. They think a light rainstorm is dangerous weather. They have never seen a predator bigger than a house cat." Lisa was beginning to understand. "And we have to get up in front of them and explain that we come from a planet that should have killed us all." "Not just that," Jake said. "We have to explain that we think our deadly nightmare planet is a nice place to live." They looked at each other and realized their simple school project was about to change everything. They were about to tell the galaxy something it was not ready to hear. Humans were not normal. Earth was not normal. And the rest of the galaxy had no idea what they were dealing with. Jake closed the computer and stood up. "We need to prepare for this very carefully." "Why?" "Because when we tell them the truth about Earth, everything is going to change.